Good morning, welcome back to Deer Valley Homestead with me, Andy, and my partner Beate. Today, I am finally doing a job that I have wanted to do for nearly 3 years. I actually prepared it 3 years ago, and I still haven't done it. And that's in our Guinea house. We're finally going to put the concrete floor in. I prepared hardcore on the floor to put concrete in about 3 years ago when I put the roof on. And somehow that job has just never happened. There's been so many different reasons why it's not happened. Most recently there was a guinea sat on a nest in there. That lasted for 45 days. Unfortunately she didn't hatch anything out, but I didn't want to interrupt her while she was in the middle of it. This place is just a mess. There is baked on, caked on, you name it up here. So we'll sort that out. And down here, this stuff must be a good few inches deep. I did actually have hardcore down here, believe it or not. Now, because I'm a bit of a crazy person, I'm going to attempt to do this with the guineas still living in there. The reason for that is it was hard enough to teach the guineas where to live in the first place, so I don't want to confuse them by taking them out, putting them somewhere else. As clean as it's going to be. What you can see left is the hardcore that I put down 3 years ago, just before I was about to concrete it, and now it's covered in organic waste. And of course, putting concrete down on top of organic waste is generally considered a terrible idea. In fact, I'm pretty sure everyone will tell me it's a bad idea, and I agree with you, but it is what's going to happen. I'm going to spray this down with a pressure washer, see if I can't get some of it to go down in the gaps, and then I'm going to put the concrete on top. There's still a lot of rubbish here, but it's going to have to do. Now, the guineas are going to come back in here tonight, and I don't want them to walk on the concrete. So my plan is drill a hole in the wall, stick a block on, and then I will put a false floor on somewhere around this height. And that way the guineas can still live in here. If it was chickens, I would just move them somewhere else, but guineas, when you move them, that's when they tend to get lost, sleep in trees, and do all sorts of silly things like that. I have all of the bits of wood on the walls. They look something like that. You can see some more in the background there. That is what is going to hold the fake floor for me, so that I can put a floor in above the concrete. The guineas can still use the space, but the poop won't drop into the fresh concrete. I have put some plastic down on the floor, and I've thrown just a little bit of gravel on to hold it in place. If this was any kind of what could be called even something close to proper concrete, this is not the way you do it. I have a bunch of different concrete products that are left from other projects, so I'm going to be mixing all the different ones as well, just to make it look even more professional and more by the book. Oh, that's all down. I did have slightly less concrete than I thought I had. I thought I would get another centimetre higher, but no issues. So as I said, this is not how you do concrete. But this is a Guinea barn, so it doesn't matter. If you think of how many things that I just did wrong, feel free to write it down below. I can think of at least 10, but the end result is I have what I need, and that is a concrete floor in my Guinea barn. Of course, I'm going to be back every hour or so till it starts to go off and really smooth it off right at the end. And hopefully we end up with something very reasonable. So here's what we have. A very rough concrete that will come back and go over a couple of times and just make sure it gets as into it as it can. Is it level? Roughly. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Well, I can't really reach, but between balancing on bits of wood and hoping, we're getting there slowly. Right. Alright team, we are done for today. The concrete is down. It's had its final little brush over with the trowel. It's like 80% flat, which is good enough for me. I have put in our fake floor, so the concrete has time to dry off. I've had to throw in a few bricks and things at the bottom to stop a guinea going underneath. But they can come in and they have their normal roosts and all that kind of stuff. That you can hardly see anything. For some reason the torch is not working properly, but there we go. The guineas were not keen on going in on top of the OSB, but we did get them there in the end, so it's not such a bad thing. Six, 7. Oh, Mr. Rooster did make it in. I was wondering where he was. Of course, my OSB is going to get ruined, but I knew that before I put it in here, so it is what it is. It is the third day since I did the concrete, so it has had 3 full days to cure. So I'm going to rip these boards off. Get all this stuff out of here, and put their roosts and everything back clean and how they should be. Moment of truth. I haven't actually looked at this for 3 days, which was a bit brave, but you know. Alright, well, seems good enough to me. one nest box back in, space underneath. I'm going to put the roosts back in on top now, put the ladders back in, and we can call this project done. Oh, it is hot today. We're on another weather warning. It's already 30 degrees and it's 10 in the morning. That is our nest boxes back in, our roosts up, some hay on the boxes for the guineas. Hopefully they will come back and lay in here. I kind of taught them to lay in here by leaving the chickens in here, and they would copy the chickens. However, since the lady was sitting on the nest and I had to kick her off, there's a good chance they'll go and lay somewhere else in the garden. Guineas are very fickle with their egg laying. If you disrupt them, if they see you take an egg, anything like that, they will change up completely. They'll go to a new spot, lay somewhere else. And generally they won't use the same spot again. That's my experience for the last 2 years. So once I've disturbed a spot, even now, 2 years later, they're still not using those spots. They just move to a new one, even if it's not as good. Anyway, that's it. One concrete floor done. Very crudely, but that's enough. As always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your comments and your likes, and I'll catch you all next week.